There are hundreds of theories on the creation of the universe. The very definition of creation, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is to bring into existence, or to produce with imaginative skill. There are 7 popular theories that expand on the Big Bang theory, and there have been many stories throughout human history about creation from the Greeks, Sumerians, Cherokees, Mayans, and Egyptians. The Christians and Jews believe in the same creation events of the earth, our sun and moon, and all living creatures, as written in the book of Genesis from the Old Testament. But what do people in our present world believe? 40% said they believed in a universal creation controlled by God in 10,000 years or less. 33% said they believed in a universal creation by God over billions of years. 22% said they believed in a universal creation without a God over billions of years. 5% said they were unsure. A Big Bang expansion event can be summarized as a cosmological model of the observable universe, from a point in time of a singularity explosion of energy, matter, and space, expanding from an initial state of extremely high density and high temperature, creating a universe full of stars, nebulas, and solar systems over billions of years. The Genesis event of the Old Testament can be summarized as an instantaneous creation of space and time, the earth, and another instantaneous creation of light throughout the universe, after which our sun and moon were created, and then the stars, all set in part of a 6-day creation event, spoken into existence by God. Whether you believe that the universe was brought into existence by an explosion expansion event, or an all-powerful God who brought everything into existence, simply by his very words and thoughts, both have to have these qualities as stated by American astronomer Robert Jastrow, where he was forced to concede that whether the Genesis event or the Big Bang event happened, both are said to commence suddenly and sharply, at a definite moment in time, in a flash of light and energy. Then the question becomes, what, or who, brought the universe into existence? Or what, or who, produced the universe with imaginative skill? There are 7 different theories of the Big Bang: eternal inflation, conformal cyclic model, black hole mirage, plasma universe, slow freeze, Hindu cosmology, and the steady state. George Lemaitre was the first to propose this theory in 1927, but it was Fred Hoyle who coined the name Big Bang in 1949, which took many years to catch on. Let's begin with the more detailed definition of the Big Bang theory, and then briefly explain the 7 additional theories that have expanded on this theory. The universe begins as a state of infinite density and temperature, known as a singularity. Then, a massive explosion at faster than light speed produces a ballooning effect, thus forming the universe. Then, the universe was reheated, cooled, and started forming basic particles like protons and neutrons. The universe started at 300 light-years, and stars and galaxies appeared 400 million years later. Number 1. Eternal inflation. In 1979, Alan Guth expanded on this theory to state that, when the universe was ballooning and expanding, it didn't stop. It continues today, leading to a multiverse, where space seems to be broken in bubbles.
A multiverse? Identical universes that look much like our own universe, but with slight variations, existing in a different dimension. This sounds like a science fiction fantasy. What doorway did this scientist go through to see these other universes? How could there be trillions upon trillions upon trillions of duplicate universes? How do theories like this get published?
Number 2. Conformal cyclic model. This theory is based on a repeating Big Bang event, that our present Big Bang is just a transition phase, and then when this universe collapses into itself, the Big Bang will start over.
Why would an expanding universe collapse where no gravity exists? Why would there be an infinite number of repeating Big Bang events that would continue to have repeating collapses? If any matter gets pulled in to form a gigantic compressed ball of black holes, stars, planets, and moons, wouldn't everything disappear into the black holes?
Number 3. Black hole mirage. The universe was formed from debris thrown out of a collapsed fourth-dimensional star, which allows our universe to be in 3 dimensions, in turn, allows for our universe to have 3-dimensional black holes.
Here is another example of a scientist who has no evidence that a fourth-dimensional star could possibly exist, but yet he created an extensive paper for this theory. A black hole is a continuing suction of all matter and light. How could anything be thrown out of a black hole? What's to say that there could be a 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensional star, since there appears to be an unlimited amount of universes? I think one would have a better chance of creating a theory that the tooth fairy must exist. At least here, one would have millions of stories where their tooth was under their pillow one night, and the next morning, money was in place of where the tooth was.
Number 4. Plasma cosmology. This theory surmises that electromagnetic forces and plasma are more important than gravity. This plasma would form sizable sections of matter and antimatter in the universe. These boundaries are designated by cosmic electromagnetic fields, with interactions between them, forming plasma, which brought the universe into a slow existence.
This is like saying that by rubbing 2 sticks together, one can create smoke, then sparks, then create a fire that can continue to expand. But then one would have to ask, where did the sticks come from? Just like here, where did the electromagnetic forces come from? And since there are no examples of electromagnetic forces creating plasma of any kind in an oxygen-rich environment, how could plasma be formed in a vacuum?
Number 5. Slow freeze. The universe began as a cold, limited environment, which awoken from a long freeze, instead of a high-temperature Big Bang. Fluctuations in density could advocate for a cold and slowly evolving universe.
It's hard to understand how any life could be created from a high-temperature Big Bang. And now this theory states that all life came from a frozen universe that thawed over time. What caused the universe to be frozen in the first place? What caused the universe to thaw itself out? None of these theories would hold up in a court case without proper evidence. So why should we believe that any of this is possible?
Number 6. Hindu cosmology states that our universe will be replaced by a continuing number of universes, all endless, and all occurring every 4.32 billion years.
Years ago, cosmologists were sure that the universe was 14.6 billion years old. Now it's 13.787 billion years old. And here, we have a theory that expands and collapses our universe every 4.32 billion years. If the universe is expanding in a vacuum, shouldn't it keep expanding? What force can make something the size of the universe collapse into itself?
The Force? The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
And why would the universe explode again? Unless you can answer where it all started and provide measurable evidence and research, you shouldn't be allowed to list any conclusion without how you came to its beginning.
Number 7. Steady state. The universe is forever expanding, and matter is constantly created to fill the space.
We finally have a theory that is halfway correct based on observable evidence. It has been documented over the last 100 years by measuring the distances of stars and galaxies close to us, that the universe is expanding, or at least some galaxies are moving away, while some galaxies are moving towards us. But how can one surmise that matter is being created to fill the space? There are no partially shaped moons, planets, stars, or galaxies. Everything has been fully formed and set into place, as if there was an intelligent mind that created all this.
With all these theories, here are some basic questions to all these variations that go unanswered. Who or what created the space to hold all space? Who or what created the ballooning effect that allowed for expansion? Who or what created the galaxies? Who or what created darkness? Who or what created light? Who or what created the massive explosion? Who or what created the reheating and cooling? Who or what created the infinite density? Who or what created the fourth-dimensional star? Who or what created a three-dimensional universe? Who or what created a multiverse? Who or what created this cold environment? Who or what created plasma? Who or what created antimatter and matter? Who or what created protons and neutrons? Who or what created electromagnetic forces? Who or what created more space for more matter? For all the scientists and cosmologists that come up with theory after theory about trying to figure out who or what created the universe, the one core value that they are all lacking is a sense of humility. If they could only learn to say just three simple words.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Variety of elements.
Say it
I
with
think.
me. I don't know.
From Quora discussion blogs, here's what a few scientists have said about these different theories.
Making something from scratch may not be as easy as it looks. Hence, one has to start from something. So where did the fourth-dimensional star come from? A fourth-dimensional Big Bang? And the creator caused the fourth-dimensional star to collapse into a black hole? Ideas like this don't explain anything. They just provide reasons to write worthless number-juggling papers that attract grant money. Unless the government decides to fund a particle accelerator the size of the universe, it's better to get a math degree with some kind of genuine application in the real world. The event horizon of a black hole is the absolute last place that anyone should ever think of looking for the conditions necessary for the creation event of the universe.
But what about nothing? Robert Adler from BBC.com makes the following comment about this subject. Quantum mechanics tells us that there is no such thing as empty space. Even the most perfect vacuum is actually filled by a rolling cloud of particles and antiparticles, which flare into existence and almost instantaneously fade back into nothingness. This actually makes sense if you believe that the universe was created by God. In the New Testament of the Bible, Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3 says, "By faith, we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible." Even here in the Bible, there exists a discussion about atoms and particles that cannot be seen, but everything that exists was created by this. First, before there was an universe, and a space to fill all this in, there was really nothing. No space, no vacuum, no bubble, no nothing. In other words, there were no atoms or particles created yet, because God had not created a place for them to exist. There wasn't light or dark, there wasn't matter or antimatter. God's existence is beyond our universe. So, when scientists talk about particles and atoms, in quantum fluctuation fields coming into a visible reality, that is how they have always existed from the beginning of the universe, when God spoke it into existence. So, yes, it is possible for the invisible to be visible. But, in order to form an entire cosmos into an orderly design, there would have to be an intelligent mind capable of bringing this into existence. Is it not a wonder why there are so many circular objects in the universe? The stars, the planets, the moons, and even the galaxies themselves, all have a circular pattern. If the universe is billions of years old, why aren't we seeing any partially formed planets, moons, or stars? Where's this moon? Where's this formation? According to Britannica Encyclopedia, the gravitational force of a planet's mass pulls all of its material toward the center, smoothing out any jarring non-roundness. Smaller bodies in space, like asteroids, do not have any or not enough gravity to pull itself into a round shape. Technically, even though the planets and moons in our solar system, and other planets that have been observed in other galaxies are not true spheres, their design is that of an ellipsoid. One of the most perfect circular objects in our universe is our Sun. The University of Hawaii at Manoa's Institute for Astronomy gives a brilliant explanation to our Sun's preciseness. The Sun is nearly the roundest object ever measured. If scaled to the size of a beach ball, it would be so round that the difference between the widest and narrow diameters would be much less than the width of a human hair. But if this were true about the planets becoming more round, due to the gravitational force, that would make everything flat on our planet, especially if our planet is close to 4.6 billion years old, according to evolutionists. If gravitational forces were continually pulling everything down, to form a perfect sphere, all land would sink below the ocean's surface, and our planet would be covered in water, and become the same shape as our Sun. The centrifugal force from the Earth's rotation is what gives it this special shape. By the evidence that is observed of our planet, and others like it in shape, you can tell that the planets have been uniquely designed as an ellipsoid, and not as a perfect sphere like our Sun. Did God speak the moon into existence, or did a small planet collide with our planet 4 billion years ago? There is evidence to the contrary that our moon was formed from a collision of a small planet that impacted Earth in the past, with debris from the impact forming the moon. If this had really happened, the Earth's surface would still have an enormous impact crater that would be 1,000 miles wide and 1,000 miles deep, or it would have destroyed both planets altogether. The debris would still be debris, and there would be no chance that it would collect itself to form a sphere. Our planet would look similar to other planets, with debris rings. This is why the rings of other planets have not collected itself to form a moon, or multiple moons. Once the debris is locked into the orbit of its host planet, the debris can only collide and bounce off other debris. It cannot compress itself to form a moon. What is cosmic microwave background radiation, or CMB? Wikipedia defines this as electromagnetic radiation from the Big Bang. The origin of this radiation depends on the region of the spectrum that is observed. One component is the cosmic microwave background. This component is red-shifted photons that have freely streamed from an epoch when the universe became transparent for the first time to radiation. Its discovery and detailed observations of its properties are considered one of the major confirmations of the Big Bang. The discovery, by chance in 1965, of the cosmic background radiation suggests that the early universe was dominated by a radiation field, a field of extremely high temperature and pressure. But how does CMB fit into a biblical creation? Surprisingly to scientists, like the mathematician Nicholas Copernicus, who stated in the 1500s that the sun was the center of the universe. It puts our planet as the center of the universe. The Big Bang assumes that all space has an isotropic environment, that is, all space looks the same in all directions. If this is true, the CMB will also be isotropic in its alignment with the epicenter. Lawrence Krauss, an American-Canadian physicist and an advocate of the Big Bang theory, observed that the CMB was extremely isotropic in his research, which would promote the Big Bang theory even more, but cosmologists acknowledged that isotropy would not be likely to occur with this type of model. Krauss then said this about his research. Some of these large-scale temperature differences in the CMB seem to be aligned with our solar system. But when you look at a CMB map, you also see that the structure that is observed is in fact, in a weird way, correlated with the plane of the Earth around the Sun. Is this Copernicus coming back to haunt us? That's crazy. We're looking at the whole universe. There's no way there should be a correlation of structure with our motion of the Earth around the Sun, the plane of the Earth around the Sun, the ecliptic. That would say that we are truly the center of the universe. The biblical story from Genesis chapter 1 says that God first created our planet and then created the sun and the moon, before he created the rest of the universe, putting us at the center of the universe, which aligns with what has been discovered about the CMB. Not only does this mean that the creation of the universe happened here between our planet and our sun, but this also means, to a biblical perspective, that the CMB is from the instantaneous explosion of light that started from our planet. Now, we don't know whether the explosion of light was omnipresent, meaning everywhere at once, or light exploded into the entire universe from this point in space, and filled up the entire universe in a fraction of a second. Was the explosive energy of the Big Bang powerful enough to create life? Cosmologists speak of the universe exploding with expansion as the birth point for all matter and life. But when any explosion occurs, it has been continually proven again and again that any explosive energy destroys matter and life. Wikipedia's definition of an explosion is a rapid expansion in volume associated with an extremely vigorous outward release of energy, usually with the generation of high temperatures and release of high-pressure gases. Wikipedia also states that a supernova, in its final stage, either collapses into a neutron star, black hole, or is completely destroyed. If an explosion in space from a supernova destroys itself, how could an explosion from a singularity create life? Most newspaper reports show this headline after an explosion occurs. No signs of life after explosion. So, if life is extinguished after an explosion in an oxygen-rich environment, how could any life be created in an interstellar explosion of a cold or superheated vacuum? How can an explosion form stars? How can an explosion form planets? How can an explosion form life? If you visit a property with lots of trees, and you leave, but return after 10 years, and find a house has been built, what do you suppose happened? Did a Big Bang explode and over 10 years, turned into a house, or was there an intelligent designer that created the house with imaginative skill? How could an explosive expansion know how to form galaxies, solar systems, and planets? Then know how to form a planet with just the right amount of oxygen, water, and food supply to create and sustain life. Only an intelligent designer, with unlimited knowledge and power, existing outside of time and space, could be capable of harnessing perpetual energy and power, in order to speak everything we know and see into existence. This intelligent designer truly loves us, and his design, just as we love the things that we create in our life. Like relationships, friendships, and children. God created this world that has hundreds of conditions that have to be fine-tuned for all life to exist. Isn't it time that you acknowledge your true creator? Why are there so many non-biblical theories on how the universe was created? Sin has infected the world, and seeks to establish a creation without God, so that men and women can tell themselves that they don't need to believe in God for their life's direction. When billions of years are invented, it makes it easier to believe that there is no God. Just follow the money. Many scientists, biologists, cosmologists, and high schools and universities lose their funding and grants, unless they sign a paper saying that they will not teach any other theory but the Big Bang, which goes against scientific values, in the pursuit of facts based on experimentation.
We are not meant to fully understand how God creates and controls all things. In the Old Testament, Ecclesiastes 3:11, God has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, He has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. In this passage from the Old Testament, God has made each of us eternal beings, and He has hidden the complex stories of how everything came into existence by His Word, and how everything in this universe will come to an end. Since we are eternal beings, this means that we will live forever. God has created two possible realities for us to exist in after our death here on earth, where we will spend our eternity based on the decisions we make. We have free will to either choose a life to follow God, where we will live with Him in eternal peace, or we can choose to follow the world and follow what others have pressured us to believe, and we will be separated from Him in eternal punishment. Where will you live forever? On this site is a video that discusses why God sent Jesus to our planet 2,000 years ago. Please watch Where Will You Live Forever, also titled under Does God Exist?, to learn more about how much God wants you to acknowledge Him. The Bible says God created the universe, our solar system, Earth, and all living things around 6,000 years ago. Don't give in to peer pressure that says you need billions of years to be here. Which will you believe?